Hockey's back, baby. Let's go.
I think that's the goal there, to be honest. That hockey was phenomenal. All right, Phil Kessel is a Stanley Cup champion once again. I mean, hey, Bruce, there it is. Bruce, there it was. At least it wasn't Adam Fox.
It's two juggernauts just colliding with each other. What?
Weird.
Now we have to deal with another generational talent in Chicago. Welcome back to Puck and Stuff Podcast. I am B-Dog as always. Beside me as always is T-Dog. And welcome back to Tail Talk, boys. So far, an entertaining season. T-Dog, how we doing today?
You know, I'm doing pretty good, man. You know, feeling good. Feeling pretty fresh, from that photo shoot. So,
ooh, yes,
ooh,
yes.
Sneak peek, boys. Sneak peek.
Yeah, you guys will be getting some new updates to the channel, which you guys will see very soon. We're super excited for what we got some good photos in, and hopefully you guys do enjoy the upgrade to the channel. But anyways, I think we should get right into it, obviously. Last episode, we kind of took advantage of talking about the ups of some teams so far this season. And maybe we'll just take a little bit of time to talk about the teams that are a little bit down at the beginning of the season. So I'm going to start off with the Columbus Blue Jackets. 4-9-4. That's a very disappointing start to the season so far for Columbus. They benched Johnny Gaudreau and Patrik Laine in the third period against the Arizona Coyotes the other day, and they didn't even play for like the last 5 minutes of the third period. What are your thoughts on that? Because that's concerning when your two top stars are benched like Jonathan Huberdeau is.
Yeah, and it's funny because that's pretty much what the resemblance or the comparison has been the whole Huberdeau thing. And ironically, of course, it all kind of comes full circle. Johnny being a Flame or an ex-Flame and all of that stuff. This team, I would expect a little more of an effort. You see the effort from the young guys, but yeah, let's be real. Laine and Gaudreau kind of deserve the benching. They haven't produced anything. Lack of shots, lack of opportunity. They look like they don't care. And when your stars are performing in a way that, as it looks to bystanders, even to the other teammates, that you're not trying, that's just not good culture in the locker room. So I wonder if that's affecting it. Ultimately, Columbus, I feel like we've had this story before and we've said this. What have they changed? It's the same team. Same thing, different season, right? It's just rinse and repeat. I don't know. I think people are trying to already call for the head coach. But at what point, and I think we'll get into this more and more as we kind of go into the conversation today, but at what point do you got to start blaming the GM here? It's I gotta say, Kekalainen, I thought, has made some great moves, some decent moves, but you're overpaying a few people. I think the Severson signing was solid, but all right, you're paying him for Gudbranson. Hasn't done much, right?
At least we didn't.
I mean, Martin's a decent backup. Merzlikins, is he worth the 5-4? You tell me, right? Provorov was a decent signing. Ultimately, with Columbus, I think it's just a team that just hasn't had an identity for a while. And they've kind of lost it ever since, I'd say, Panarin and Bobrovsky, that 2019 upset. So
the Tampa sweep.
So much fun to watch.
That was so much good to watch. So good. But we all know what happened. Tampa when they won their cups finally after that. So no, there was no Columbus to stop them this time. But yeah, actually, you do make a good point with Columbus. I think realistically, I said this a while ago, but I didn't like the Provorov signing that they made because I think it was a bit too much for what Columbus is trying to be. Obviously, they tanked and they got the second overall pick. And Adam Vintelli, who has been performing great so far in 17 games, he's gotten 4 goals and 5 assists with 9 points. He's producing so far as one of the best players on Columbus. But then you also look at Gaudreau and Laine, 17 games played with only 6 points. That's really concerning. So
and I'm guessing It's only 1 goal, correct? Or is it 2 goals?
Yeah, it's actually 1 goal and 5 assists. So
1 goal. Yeah, he has not been a factor. And that's the thing is we know, being Flames fans, we know that Gaudreau has that factor. That's why he was such a heavy sought upon player come free agency. Columbus, feels lucky to get him. Any team would have, but it just hasn't panned out so much. I don't know, man. I mean, you come from our side, it's like, well, you could have had that jersey lifted up in the rafters if you stayed, but
only if you stayed.
But yeah, the thing with Columbus, I feel like it's the story with a few other teams too. Like it's just trying to change things that aren't the problem. As the reality of it.
Yeah, I mean,
you got to start kind of going off of the boys' club, man.
Literally. But I think the point I was also trying to make with it was I think they realistically rushed it a little too late because they were kind of going into that rebuild situation. But I think with the Laine and the Gaudreau signing, it just added like a bunch of star power to a team that wasn't really worth competing. So there's nothing you can really do. And obviously it's now reflecting off of those both players that you can't do much and they're not playing well. So the best thing you could do is bench them. And we've obviously seen that from a Calgary Flames standpoint because the Flames did it with Jonathan Huberdeau. It doesn't matter how much you're getting paid. If you can't play, we're benching you.
The problem is that's all you can do because they have the no movement clauses. So you can't send them down in the minors.
Yep.
And, like as much as probably want to scratching, like that's a last resort. So you're gonna.
Well, because I would definitely say if something doesn't change quickly in Columbus, you could see one of them at least requesting a trade.
Oh, it's very true. I mean, look, the rumor mill's already gone. Like
yeah,
Uncle or Johnny, I don't know if you saw this. Johnny Gaudreau's uncle a few weeks ago was, Flames fans are kind of just texting, be like, "We miss Johnny," and he's like, "Oh yeah, he misses he and we like the family." Being like misses the city too, and everyone's like, "Oh, is it possible to happen?" And the uncle's like, "It's possible, probably not going to happen." But it's like, cool.
Did you actually hear that rumor mill a little bit with Huberdeau and the Gaudreau trade? I saw that a few times, and I'm like, haha, you guys are funny.
I mean, Laine is a pure shooter, and that could benefit Huberdeau, but we say the same with Lindholm. So I'll leave it at that. But ultimately, Columbus, they're in that position. And, I mean, hey, Cole Eiserman would probably look pretty good. So,
I mean,
just saying.
Even though I want him. I want him for our team.
Exactly. Calgary keep losing. Come on, man. Well, speaking of losing, the Canucks did for once. There was a Flames who beat them, funny enough. But they have been losing a lot. And I'm wearing a Canucks hat right now for this reason. This team's a wagon.
This team is low-key a wagon.
Is an absolute wagon, and they look good. The Stars are performing how they should be, and finally, you know what? Maybe it took a coach like Tocchet. I gotta say, like shout out to Rick Tocchet, good coach. And you can tell like that team, that room is bought into the system. Demko's played lights out. Their defense looks great. The additions to players such as Carson Soucy has been pretty solid. Ian Cole. Soucy's injured right now, so we'll see how that happens. But hey, when they get Zadorov or Tanev in the trade, then that'll help out. But ultimately, the biggest thing to come out of this, though, is the fact that 3 of their players are top in scoring.
Yep. JT Miller with 27 points, Elias Pettersson with 27 points, and Quinn Hughes with 27 points. 3 Vancouver Canucks lead the NHL in points.
Crazy. Dude, it's funny because remember when everyone was calling all the Hughes brothers busts? Because Quinn Hughes was always a solid player, but just never showed that superstar factor unless you watched him consistently.
Yeah.
Same, Jack Hughes is a little different, of course. It took him a season or two, but it's a different story now. I mean, Quinn Hughes is up there with Makar, 120%.
You can make the case so far.
Hughes, I'm not saying that he is Makar, but I mean they're pretty close. I gotta give him to my boy Makar. Makar's Canadian, right?
Yeah. So I mean, you could definitely make the case that this season alone, Quinn Hughes has made himself a top 5 defenseman in the league, 100%. It's insane because, like you said, a lot of people thought he was that bust because he wasn't showing the potential of being a top star on the team. But now, since he got the C on this jersey, now he's playing lights out. 27 points and like 3rd in the league. And that's insane compared to what you were expected to be for the last few seasons. Like that's a huge jump, which I think he really needed.
And this is a guy who everyone was speculating he wanted out of Van City there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, look, he wants to play. And I mean, putting that C on him gave him some confidence. The team must, trust his leadership, of course, to have him like wear that crest. Because I think they trusted Horvat a lot too. But yeah, he's just elevated his game. It's just it's fantastic. And watching him, like straight up, watching the Canucks is kind of a treat. Like I love watching the teams that are doing really well because it's nice to watch hockey that's actually good. And it's something to behold, man.
Yeah, so, you do make that good point.
It's 100%. Patterson's gonna get some money, man. He's gonna get some money. And I saw everyone in the comments section on our Tech Talks there when I was saying how Pettersson will do this, score 100 points, and then leave. I mean, if they're doing this good, like I'll take it back, man. Like maybe he does stay.
I mean, you did say
I was hearing a 4-year deal.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that would change a lot of things. Tree Living would be foaming at the mouth to hear that.
God.
But
that's terrible.
We'll see.
That's terrible.
Ultimately, solid team. Even though young guys too, I think Nils Höglander's look pretty solid. Canucks fans weren't happy with Noah Juulsen last game, so maybe not him, but pretty solid. Good for them.
I think overall with that team, everything is working the way you want it to, and you guys really got to figure out how the you get rid of Tyler Myers. I think that's like the one guy I would say you need to trade, you need to scratch, you need to drop, you need to switch that guy out because he's a big guy, but it's not a good thing when he's taking out the same guys on your team, and causing goals. And it's disappointing for that fact. But Vancouver is good. Vancouver. Yeah, I got a lot of comments on Vancouver recently.
I know, but we got to be on the bandwagon more, man. It's helping out with the interaction. It's great.
If we're gonna go here, I'll switch it back over to the situation of teams in a little bit of a crisis at the beginning of the season. Your Buffalo Sabres, who you've predicted to be one of the top teams in the division, it's not having a great start. They're 7-9-1. Tage Thompson's out for a couple months, I believe, and Jack Quinn is injured, and it hasn't looked that great in Buffalo. I am very curious what you think of what you said in your predictions to how you feel right now.
I'm gonna keep standing strong on it. The team's still young. Buffalo's a team that everyone wants to win, right? Yeah. So there's a little bit of pressure in that, and maybe that's what kind of affects it. The pieces are there, and I think these pieces will all eventually, make a run. I don't see it not happening. But maybe it's just a youth thing, right?
Maybe.
I think we're all sick of Buffalo. Like when Buffalo wins, it's good for the league, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that Devin Levi has let me look at Levi's stats actually. But I know that Levi has been kind of struggling a little bit too, right?
Oh, here I got it. Yeah, his goals against average is at a 3.65 and his save percentage at a 8.81. So yeah, he's definitely not looking pretty right now.
Played 7 out of the 17 games they played. So right now he isn't the starter that everyone's been hyping him up to be, which I'm glad they're hyping him up because that means Dustin Wolf can just kind of come in the league and swindle his way in and,
do his magic thing and it's going to be great.
Exactly. So maybe it's a youth thing, right? I feel like the pieces are slowly coming together. Maybe it's not this year. I don't know. Buffalo's a hard one. They're disappointing. That's for sure.
But again, I think with Buffalo alone is the situation is they're still really young team, and obviously their players still have to get some development and some realism from being in the league still. So I would say with Buffalo, maybe they could really turn it around if everything falls into place. And if Devin Levi turns on a second gear, and maybe it could turn around this season, but I don't know. It's looking a little bit scary in Buffalo, but again, I can't say much because I said Ottawa would be a top 3 team in the Atlantic, and they're 7-7. So
with the Senators, you're 500. I mean, Buffalo's in 500. Ottawa's 500. It could change. A winning streak could change the scenery of one of these teams.
yeah,
And that could affect it in the long run, especially come playoff time or come to the end of the season.
well, because I think also too, when you just look at the Atlantic alone, it looks like actually such a close division, because from number 1, well, I would probably say from number 3 to number 8, like all teams are close in points. Like,
Yeah.
any team could realistically go on a winning streak and then take third in the division if they wanted. So I think it's a very open division right now. Any team could take a spot.
100%. I mean, ultimately, it's early in the season to tell, and that's why we won't do any predictions. But I mean, you can look at a few trends to see maybe what teams will and won't in the East. New York, a lot of losses recently. Their last 10, they're 2-4-4, 2 overtime losses. I don't see them honestly making a splash. Same with Montreal, 3-6-1 in the last 10. But I could see a team like Pittsburgh coming back and hitting up a wild card. They're 6-4-0. They're kind of where I expected. I mean, Philly, we can even talk about Philly. They're in a spot where you know what, you think they come down to earth, but they haven't yet. New Jersey, right? And we'll get into New Jersey, of course. They haven't really performed well. Tampa, they're really missing Vasilevsky. Detroit, was really hyped up, and even we were talking about this last time, how hyped up they were at the start of the season, slowed down a little bit because they've dropped down to that wild card spot.
Yeah.
And, like Carolina's where they should be. New York is like, pretty hyped up right now, fair. But then Washington is like, whoa, Washington.
8-4. Ooh.
Yeah.
That is very... Are you telling me Ovi's actually shooting the puck again?
But this is a team that, this isn't an Ovechkin-dominated lineup anymore.
No.
In the sense that he's scoring all your goals. He scored 4 goals this season. So that's not him. I mean, Dylan Strome's had a fantastic season, so that's very important for them.
7 goals.
It could be goaltending. I mean, honestly, I actually don't know why Washington's winning, but they win games, man. That's what matters. Maybe it's just a good coaching job with Spencer Carberry over there, but yeah, good for Washington. But then, I think Toronto, yeah, they're in the spot. Florida, I thought they'd, be a little worse just because of injuries, but they're getting Montour back and they're getting Ekblad back, I think tomorrow or tonight, whenever they play again. And then, hey, Boston. I mean, who expected Boston to be first in the league again? Or I guess it's Vegas right now, but who expected Boston to be first in their conference? No one did. So
12-1-2. That is absolutely nuts.
Mhm.
When you lose 2 veteran centermen like Patrice Bergeron and David Krejci. Holy crap.
Yeah, it's
That's nuts.
I don't know, man, but I mean, it shows leadership matters, and
Brad Marchand is leadership.
when things are going good, everything's going good.
If you told me that
happens.
If you told me that when he licked Ryan Canna, that Callahan would be a captain and leading the Boston Bruins in 2023 to 12-1-2 without Patrice Bergeron, I wouldn't believe you.
Yeah, you would be putting the parlay on that.
Dude, that's kind of nuts when you really think about that. Like, still, like, this team had a historic season last year, and they're trying to repeat it. Well, they probably won't, but
Boston, I mean,
good team.
They're getting like these young players to come in and just absolutely not dominate, I'd say, but
play really a big role.
Play big roles and fill in spots that are missing. Like Courtois is a good example of that. There's a few more there. I gotta remember that. I'm gonna butcher their names, so I have to relook at the names right now. But I mean, and they're getting outstanding goaltending, like Ullmark and Swayman. I mean, I can see why people think Swayman might be a target. for some teams. I've even heard Ullmark too, but they're getting everything they need. I'm thinking of Beecher, Poitras. It's one more I was thinking of too. Oh yeah. Defense, Mason Loray. So that's good.
Actually,
Good for them, man.
Yeah, Boston has been doing really well. Actually, there is something I kind of wanted to add it that I saw on social media earlier today, and it's about Philly. So apparently there was a bunch of Philly fans they wrote letters to John Tortorella that they want a rebuild, and his response to them were no chance. Damn.
Oh man,
that's hilarious.
What's gonna happen in like 3 months where they're like not in a wild card position?
I mean, Morgan Frost looks good, but other than that, I mean,
they got some decent players, and they've signed it like Noah Cates, Cam York, right? I think they got signed both are like 2-year, $2 million or something, if I remember from the offseason. They got some decent young guys, and I mean, Kata Hat is like
dude.
So
Kata Hat is having a season, actually having a really good
season. This is the Kata Hat we were expecting to get, and we finally got it. This is what happens.
This is what World Juniors Kata Hat is looking like right now. 5-3, has a goals against average of 2.34 and a save percentage of 921. I think that's like so far his best stats in the NHL so far. Holy moly!
This is the. I just want to say this because I legit want to hear you out. Draisaitl for Hart. So I say this. I'm not saying I'm not saying it wouldn't happen. It would not happen. But in a position like Edmonton, where you got to win now, man. Like,
damn, a guy like Draisaitl
can't carry you. But like, dude, if you can get a goalie that can legit actually win you hockey games, even when your team isn't scoring, like.
I could, you know what? I feel like it could be to make it a little bit closer. I can make like Nugent Hopkins for Carter Hart, but I feel like Draisaitl for Hart's a little bit much.
I say that because I feel like by the end of Hart's career, not the end of Hart, by the time Hart hits prime, he'll be worth a star.
Oh yeah.
Maybe not Draisaitl. The reason why I kind of said that to spark a little bit of controversy, but more or less in the sense is like, okay, and Edmonton's point, like, can they be a team where it's like they lose someone as big as Draisaitl? They still got McDavid, right? Like McDavid literally is like the equivalent of 3 hockey players. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's just that good.
A whole line.
But let's say you lose Draisaitl. I mean, that'd be crazy if that actually happened. But then you get a goalie, and a goalie who can play the net and not let in like 4 goals and on like 7 shots, right?
And not have to send down your $5 million goalie to the AHL.
Yeah, exactly. And do that on a team. Maybe some nights they're not going to score, get secondary scoring.
Yeah.
So that's why I was asking that. But I do like the memes where it's like Binnington to Edmonton.
Oh my God.
Binnington and Kane on the same team. That's meme. That's meme. That
is so mean.
Yeah. So, anyways, it's just a dumb thing I just wanted to put out there. I'm thinking, like, you know what? Like, maybe that would be something that could get them closer to a finals. I don't know, man. Edmonton's in a weird spot. I guess we're gonna go to talk to Edmonton now, since I kind of already like said that.
Yeah, they're
getting better. We should talk about this anyways because they literally fired their coach. Like,
oh yeah,
talk about that.
My God, we never talked about it. Jay Woodcroft has been fired from the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, literally. I mean,
so here's the thing, did we forget that?
I don't know, man. All I know is that Chris Novak is 4-0 in the NHL.
Oh yeah, I mean that is true.
So dude seems like a calm presence. That's what I've heard, and I mean he is McDavid's OHL coach. So apparently McDavid didn't know about this, but you know, it is McDavid's team. Jeff Jackson, who was his agent, is now president of hockey ops. Ken Holland is pretty much just setting himself up just to be like stabbed in the back by all the McDavid allies.
Literally.
Like that. I don't know.
Well,
yeah, we should talk about this. Or here, you go.
I kind of have something because when you looked at when Jay Woodcroft got fired, how much was it really his fault for that? Like, did he really deserve the firing? Because he had the best winning percentage of any coach Edmonton ever had. You know how concerning that is to hear?
That's crazy because like
fire
like
him?
Glenn Sather. Glenn Sather, right? Like Edmonton Oilers 1980s cup runs, Glenn Sather, a better percentage than Glenn Sather. Should I say it again? So it's not his fault. It's not Woody's fault. Woody, it's funny. It's not Woody's fault because why? Why is it funny? It's not Woodcroft's fault. Here's why.
Okay.
I believe it when the Stars say in the interviews that he didn't lose the room. I don't think they did. I think what happens is this. You start the season, you do captain skates early before training camp. You're really hyped up. You're in your head, right? Then you absolutely drop a stinker to the Canucks, right? A team that should be not there with you. Now we know that they are, but before, from everything else that you learned from the years previous, they shouldn't be. That happens. Okay, you lose one, whatever. Get back to the next game. You lose again. Then you go on a streak. And then you get in your head. So to me, what it is, it's the pressure getting to them. Excuse me. And that was what's affecting them getting their loss. What seals the deal? San Jose, right?
Yeah.
So I think with this firing, because they fired him after Seattle, I think they fired him honestly like during San Jose or before or after, whenever.
After San Jose.
They were just waiting just to, get that switch going. The reason why they did it was a wake-up call. It was management giving a wake-up call to the players saying, look, this is what happens when you don't play well and don't perform to the expectations. We are going to hurt you in a way. Are going to emotionally get you in a way that will get you to start playing. The coach, the coach is the most in and out the door position, right? 3 years kind of thing, then you're kind of out. Yeah. That's how it is. So that's why he was fired. Is it Woodcroft's fault? No, it's not. I think he played a solid, he played a solid role. He was very McDavid Draisaitl heavy. He was very offensive minded. I think he was more defensive minded. That might have helped. Mm-hmm. Maybe now that I talk about, maybe that's why they changed the defensive structure for this season. But yeah, ultimately, that's the demise, man. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, the way the team is, I mean, the goalie problems, the defensive problems, were these fixed by Mr. Kenny money in the summertime? They weren't. So whose fault is it? But yeah, leave the Woody, get the knob, So yeah.
That was beautiful. I loved how you said that. But basically, I think you're right on the point with all of that. I don't think it was Jay Woodcroft's fault, realistically. I don't think he lost the room or anything. You just kind of realized if you look at the Edmonton Oilers without McDavid and Draisaitl on it,
and Desharnais,
pretty rough team, like a pretty mediocre team when you take out the two best players in the whole NHL out of it, obviously. And did I really think they needed to make the huge change on goaltending? Skinner looked really promising after last playoffs, and I can understand why you didn't want to really change off of that. But Jack Campbell was something you needed to deal with, and you hoped he had a bounce back after the terrible season. But no, he got worse, and they had to drop a $5 million goaltender to the AHL, where he's technically performing worse. And that's a whole nother story.
Did you see the first game he played and that little bouncy puck over his pad? Yeah. I just feel bad because he seems like a very good person. And on a human aspect, it's like you feel bad for the guy because you can tell his confidence is absolutely shot, like to the wall, just like firing squad shot. Like it's. I feel bad for him, man. How do you get out of that, man? I don't know. How do you get out of it? I don't know, man. I mean, you got to find it out yourself, right? That's the personal battle.
I mean, yeah.
Goodness gracious, it sucks. But I mean, hey, I wouldn't mind getting paid $5 million to use at the bench. Just saying.
Yeah, literally. But I think the point I was trying to finish off with talking about Edmonton was you better hope this coach works, because if they keep losing and you just got a new head coach and then you just got rid of your most wins coach in Edmonton history, who are you going to look to? You're going to look at Ken Holland. Before we kind of wrap up all this, there is one more team I did want to talk about. The Arizona Coyotes are still in a playoff spot.
Man, poor Michelli's face.
Wow.
Yeah, man. I mean, Clayton Keller. Keller is a great nickname for him.
You looking
Twins could have had him. Well, you know what? I say that as if we weren't going to get Kachuk, but like we got Kachuk. Anyways, Keller was supposed to be the player we were going to get because Kachuk wasn't supposed to drop that low. I found that out a few days ago. Yeah, great team. But I was saying this. Who needs a goal? If a team needs a goalie, maybe try and string a few things for Karel Vejmelka. I think Vejmelka is an underrated goalie, and I think he's a fantastic piece that you could add to a team. So I think the goaltending really helps. But you know what? Arizona has no expectations. And that's the difference between a team like Arizona and Edmonton. Edmonton has all the expectations in the world. So every little thing that happens, you're gonna get criticized for it, and you're gonna go to your head saying, "Oh shoot, it's supposed to go perfect, right? This is supposed to be the perfect season." Arizona's like, "Well, Bettman saved us, so let's just have fun." No, they didn't say that. The players don't care. The players are playing hockey because they enjoy the sport and they're getting paid to do it. But there's no like, if they lose, who cares?
Yeah.
If they win, great. But if they lose, who cares? So they're just playing for fun, man. That's what's happening. Actually, this is just a great point in general. Most of these teams that are having slumps, they're at this expectation where they're not meeting the expectation where they need to be. But some of these teams that are doing pretty solid, Arizona, Philadelphia included, they have no expectations, man. They're just playing because they got to do it. They got to play the full 82.
Yeah, that is true. And I mean, if you're actually looking at Arizona too, rookie watch, Logan Cooley, 16 games played, already has 12 points. It's looking pretty impressive, young man. You're looking really impressive.
So
Arizona
I mean,
needs that.
is Poitras a rookie? He must be, but I mean, Bedard's gonna win Calder. It doesn't matter. But Cooley's up there, man. And I saw a few people predicting that Cooley would be high up there. They were right, so good for them.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I kind of wanted to just mention Arizona, because I'm like, for a team that was rebuilding for who knows how long now, they're finally making that kind of stride of, we don't have expectations. We just play hockey and we're winning games right now. So you can't complain about that. And hey guys, I think that'll wrap up the episode of Chell Talk today. If you guys did enjoy, leave a like, leave a comment, and please subscribe. We've been doing really well on the growth and we love the support you guys give us. Keep commenting, give your opinions. Why not? Because you guys, this is the internet. You guys can give good ones and bad ones. And Tito, wrap this up.
Like B-Dog said, he said it all. Thanks so much for listening, watching. However you are consuming this content, my dog is coming in the room. Cool. Well, he's going to say goodbye to all of us. Keep on rocking the free will, guys. Have a good one. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.